Welcome back. The reason you're looking at Dark Risen Dragon's Dogma is because I feel like talking about it. Have you ever wanted to play a game that feels like Dark Souls meets Devil May Cry meets Skyrim? If you haven't, well, here's Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen anyways. I've never been a really big fan of the Dark Souls series, and that's probably entirely because I completely suck at them. I'm going to own that. But I loved the Devil May Cry series. So I thought, if I could dodge roll and chain together combatic, slashy-washy attacks without caring about the stamina being depleted with every fucking breath I take, then I found that I might enjoy a game that feels like Dark Souls meets Devil May Cry with Skyrim tinkled all over it. So let's start at the beginning. Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen is an expansion slash special edition slash I don't know, feels like a legendary edition of Skyrim. It's the main game with all the extra crap. So that's what this is. This is the main game with all of the extra crap, aka Dark Arisen, included into the disc. It's all packed in there. Because yes, game developers, you can put expansions onto the disc instead of making a download code. It can fit on your disc. I don't even think this is a dual-layered disc. I'd like to check. Surprisingly, this is not a dual-layered disc. This is a single-layered disc, meaning that they packed this entire game, including the expansion, onto a 25 gigabyte disc. Amazing what you could do with that. Well, I guess the reason why you could compact it into a 25 gigabyte disc is because it feels amazing, yet lacks in things to do. Basically, it is an amazing concept demo of a game I wish I could play, but couldn't. As far as I'm aware, either in Japan or South Korea or somewhere over there is an MMO based off Dragon's Dogma where you can explore both Gransis being the gameplay world of Dark Arisen Dragon's Dogma, regular Dragon's Dogma. Gransis is a small island with very little in the variation of biomes, but it's interesting enough to explore at least once or twice, to kill your beasties and go do your side quests and things of that nature. It's very fun though, it's very fun. But it was lacking in things to do. Do you know what wasn't lacking in things to do? Skyrim, especially the Legendary Edition here. The Legendary Edition includes Dawnguard, Hearthfire, and Dragonborn. Dragonborn feeling like the epilogue to the story, Dawnguard feeling like you play it whenever you want, and Hearthfire is just build your house DLC. You can make your own house, because you can make houses within the big cities like Whiterun and all that stuff, but the houses are pre-built for you. All the amenities are pre-installed. You could add some, I guess, from talking to the helper man, lady, whatever, in the main mead hall. I don't know, it's Norse inspired. It's Skyrim after all, it's the land of the snow people. So you have mead halls and harns and banging on chests and long beards, except nobody has a long beard and everybody looks the same because the engine is... But it's Skyrim, and it's full to the brim of things to do, from copy-paste dungeons, aplenty to hundreds of side quests to infinitely repeating side quests to do things to obtain money and things of that nature, to go buy things from from the merchants who could just steal from the merchants. There was so much freedom in this game. There's so much that you could do, that you could just feel like doing whatever you wanted, and you did. I felt that this game had so much in the way of things to do that it distracted me from the bare bones I felt the gameplay was. Now, if you found the gameplay to be incredibly enthralling, incredibly entrancing, incredibly in-depth, good for you, yes? Good job. It's good for you then. Especially if you're playing on PC, but let me tell you this. When I talk about Skyrim, I'm talking about this game right here. I'm not talking about the mods. I'm not talking about all the extra crap that you could put into the game. I'm talking about vanilla Skyrim. Anything in here that comes in here that you don't add, that's what I judge the game for. Anything from Nexus or any of that stuff, the hundreds of thousands of mods that you're gonna add that makes the game 100 times better, is not countable because it's not in the base game. It's not even DLC. It's made by people who like the game, and maybe some of the people who worked on the game, but it's not official. Still good, but not official. Anyways, Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen is that type of game in terms of wow factor, but it's the other side of the coin. This has an amazing combat engine, it has an amazing graphics engine, it has an amazing movement, combat style, job class changes, all of it. It's got everything you could want in a traditional type of RPG/action role-playing game with the Western painted all over it. It's got that Eastern paint painted all over it. It's like the East and the West met, and they had a baby, and this is what it was. It was amazing. I really liked it, but the problem is that it felt like a demo reel. It's very bare when it comes to story. There's not too many side quests you could do. There's not too many main quests you could do. But you can play New Game Plus as many times as you want. You can beat the dragon, play the game again, beat the dragon, play the game again. And the ending game dungeon's really fun to explore. And the Dark Arisen area, which is a new expansion place called Bitter Black Isle. You could go to Bitter Black Island and go through that dungeon, and it feels really dark, so it's like all the challenge, all the big beasties and all the strange things, the creepy crawlers coming out of the dark. Oh no! And all sorts of things, like if you go through a room and you clear it out and you kill all the beasties, and then you go to the next room and then you decide you want to go back. Well, bigger beasties might be there because they got attracted by the smaller beasties' corpses, you know. And if you've got a mission where you've got to hunt these bigger beasties, then you've got to know that you have to kill the smaller beasties, leave, and then come back, and the bigger beasties get attracted by the corpses that lay strewn about, that you have to go now gobble up. So, that's Bitter Black Island. But let's start at the beginning, because I'm getting way ahead of myself. You play as the Arisen. The Arisen is this hero character that you can create using one of the greatest character creation engines I have ever seen in a video game. I've played a lot. You could customize your character on levels that other games wish they would let you do so with. You could freaking customize the level of dimples on your bloody cheeks. There's a slider for dimples, man. Dimples! It's crazy! The level of detail, the minute details you could put onto your character was incredible in this game. It really was. If you wanted to make a tiny little petite female with the big booming deep voice of a... If you wanted to do that, you could. If you wanted to make a giant hulk of a man with one of the lightest chipmunk voices you ever could imagine, you could do that too. There was no limit to what you could do. It was funny, but it was also astonishing. The only other game I think comes close to that would have to be Saints Row. Saints Row did that, yes. Saints Row allowed you to create your character with all sorts of stuff. They let you change the voices and all that other good stuff, and it was great. It was amazing. And this surpasses that level of detail that you could do in Saints Row. I wish other RPGs that let you create your character and customize the appearance and all that stuff, I wish those games did what Dragon's Dogma did. So you create your player character, you start out at a small fishing village, and then a dragon attacks. Go figure. I thought it would be a bear. So a dragon attacks, and you die. He takes your heart and flies away, laughing like a maniacal mojo Jojo. And then Townsville says, "Wait, you've got to wake up." And then you do. You get up. And you notice that you don't have a heart anymore. There's no ticking in between your chest, and yet you're alive. And you find that if you stabbed yourself, the wound would heal back up, because now you can't die. You are an undead. You are the Arisen. So you are the Arisen now. And you have to go get your heart back by killing the big beastie dragon. Or you could just decide to not do that. I mean, you have to, but you could decide not to, if you wanted. Lore-wise, that is. Because, you know, being immortal has its kicks. Being unable to die has its kicks, after all. If you wanted, you could hang around for the next 5 quadrillion years, watching the super space people go out into space. So long as you don't kill that dragon, you get to live forever. But no, you have to be a good guy. You gotta be a good guy, because after all, we want to die. So we have to kill the big dragon, so that we can die. So we do that. You have to go beat the dragon, and then you die. And that's the story. That is the story. There's not much else left in the story. There's like, I don't know, maybe 20, 30, less than 50 side quests total. There's probably less than 20 main quests that you could do total. And some side quests are missable because there's like a 3-act structure or 4-act structure, I don't know. But like after every act, some side quests that were open in the previous act go away in the next act. Because like the world, I don't know, reacts to the choices you do in the main game that don't really have choices. You just do the mission and then the world changes, and then you keep doing missions and then it changes some more, you know. So the story isn't that deep. The gameplay is, though. The gameplay is incredible. Now, I've said before, I absolutely loathe Dark Souls, mainly because I fucking suck at them. I don't like that every single step I take, every fart I take, every burp, every belch, every snap of my fingers, every twitch of my eye costs stamina. I didn't like that. I really didn't. Luckily, in Dragon's Dogma, stamina only depletes when you do special actions, such as magic, specialist swishy swashy slashy slashy attacks that are cooler and awesome and more AoE than your normal swishy slashy slashy attacks. Sprinting, running very fast. Climbing onto stuff, you know, climbing up a giant beastie, because it's kind of like Shadow of the Colossus, that you could climb onto a beastie, like a dragon, and the dragon jumps up into the air and starts to fly away, and you could climb onto that thing, and climb under its belly, and start stabbing at it with your dagger or your sword, so long as you have the skill unlocked to do this. And you can start stabbing at the dragon's heart as it's in the air, and it becomes epic! Probably not as epic as Shadow of the Colossus made it look, but you can still do it. You can still do it, and you did. We did. And that was amazing. So stamina goes down when you do special things of that nature. Stamina does not go down when you walk normally, when you swishy slash your sword, or fire your bow. if you wanted to be an archer, because there's 2, 3, 4 classes where you can use a bow, you know. So when you fire your bow, you don't use stamina. When you slash a typical 3 or 4 hit combo with your basic weapon, that doesn't use stamina. And depending upon the job class that your character is, like assassin or strider or archer or ranger, you could do a dodge roll, and you do not use up stamina when you dodge roll. You also don't use stamina when you jump. You could jump as many times as you want, and you don't use stamina. Now, those 4 simple things are simple actions, mostly mobile actions, and 1 basic self-defense action. They don't use up stamina. But they probably won't kill a big beastie fast enough before it kills you, so you have to use the special attacks sparingly. Your stamina will refill over time as you use your special attacks, and while it's refilling, you can use these 4 to stay alive! And it's more action-based. It's less about slash, don't roll, wait to refill, don't roll, wait to don't roll again! Then you fall off a cliff and then you die. And then you go back to the next floor, and then you come back, and then you die again. Have you realized I suck at Dark Souls yet? I hate get good culture. You can get fucked. So Dragon's Dogma is amazing. It is. It is amazing. But there is problems with the story, in that once you complete it, you can either do a new game class and do it again, or you could just not do it again. But let's talk about other facets of the gameplay first. Like these other 3 people here, you know, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, you know, typical 4-person party, and yes, you can have up to 4 people in your active party. You have your main character, which can have up to 9 job classes, kind of like if you've ever played like Final Fantasy or something. You have the job classes like Knight, Mage, Thief, and most MMOs and other stuff have that type of job class and things of that nature too. And you can change your job class whenever you want. All you have to do is go back to town to do so. You can become a warrior. Warrior tends to wield a giant 2-handed weapon. He's not very mobile. He can't dodge roll. He can't guard. He's just there to swing a giant weapon and mow down anything that moves. You have your fighter, which is a typical short sword / shield wearing person, who also can't dodge roll, but he can guard with the shield. You can block attacks with your shield, and you could do swishy, slishy, slashy with your sword, but you could also do special attacks with your shield, like bonk them on the head with the shield, or toss the shield at them, slam the shield on the ground for a little shockwave. You could do all sorts of stuff with your shield to help you in battle. For example, you could be guarding, and then you press a little special attack, and then you bonk the person on the head with your shield. So you could do that. And then you got your Strider. The Strider is kind of like the Thief. The Strider can equip short bows and daggers, and can dodge roll. The Strider class is the most agile of the... I think there's like 4 type of builds, because like the Strider build has kind of technically 4 classes that are mobile, which is, I'll talk about the others later, but the Strider could equip daggers, which attack the fastest, the highest combo, but they do the lowest amount of damage, but they attack, the damage per second makes up for the lack in damage per hit, if that makes sense. So, for example, you got the giant sword, you swing it 1 time, and you do massive damage over 2 seconds. Well, the daggers can hit that beastie about 8 times in 2 seconds compared to that warrior's 1 massive hit. And those 8 slashes might actually overpower that 1 hit from the warrior. Now the Strider is less beefy than the warrior. He takes more damage. He equips light armor. Yes, the armor that you can equip changes depending upon the job class that your character is equipped with. Right, so You have to watch out for that. You have to carry multiple types of sets of armor. If you want to switch to a mage, you need robes. If you want to switch to a fighter, you need heavy armor. If you want to switch to a light armored person, you need light armor. So then you have the mage, the typical mage. The mage wears robes, light armor, magic-based, magic defense-based, lower physical defense, so you want to make sure that your mage is not getting hit by the beasties out there, which is why you want to have a fighter, somebody to draw the aggro, because it feels like an offline MMO, plays like an offline MMO. You need teamwork between your party members. If you want to use a mage, you have to have fighters draw the aggro, have them fight your fighter while you swing your little wand staff of kaboobeliness and cast your magic and whoosh at your bad guys, and it really does look cool, especially with the sorcerer. The sorcerer is kind of like an upgraded mage. It's another job class that you could pick. The sorcerer is more of a physical-based mage, and they could do a lot of massive spells that do really high damage, and they take a long time to perform. And if you want to use a sorcerer, I would probably recommend you make your pawn this. We'll talk about the pawn in a moment. So the mage can heal. They have healing spells, and you can heal instead of using healing items, which can help you. There's two types of damage that you take in battle. You have kind of like bleed damage, and then you have the damage that's gone, kaput. Now a bleed damage is like a shallow health bar. You see your health depletes, but it's faded. You can still see the health bar compared to the complete blackness of the empty health bar when you take permanent damage, right? So bleed damage can be healed through healing items and healing spells. But permanent damage cannot be healed through healing items and spells. You have to go to the inn or something, like whatever, and you heal it that way. There are some items that can heal permanent damage. Not a lot. There's some that can do it. But when you get low on health, just go to the inn. It's fine. You're not going to miss anything. You're just going to go back out and slash your way back to where you were. It's fine. Really. It is. So let's talk about the pawn. The pawn you can character create through your complex character creation engine that I just talked about. You could do just as in-depth for your pawn as you could for your main fighter, your main character that you use all the time. So you customize your pawn. You can customize them in up to... Wow, I didn't even talk about the other job classes yet. Okay, we're gonna put a pin in this pawn subject. Let's talk about the others. So we got the ranger, uses a longbow instead of a short bow. You can also use daggers, otherwise he's the same as a strider. You have the assassin, who can use a short bow, who can also use short sword, who can also use shield, and they can also use daggers. They're like a hybrid of the fighter and the strider class. They also have special attacks that allow them to deal massive damage with a short sword when they're climbing on bad guys. And you also have massive damage where you use a bow to use a special attack, like a dire bow, whatever. You go into sniper mode, you fire your bow, and blah 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 blah. And then you have the magic archer, who is the only class that can equip magic bows. Magic bows do not use normal physical arrows. You can keep firing and firing and firing and firing your magic little bows, and you can chain up combos if you want. When you charge your bow shot, you can hit multiple parts of a big beastie or multiple smaller beasties at the same time firing your bow. You can also use daggers, but otherwise you're the same as the strider. And then you have... I think I actually talked about all of them just then. Wow, okay. Well, back to the pawn. The pawn cannot be a warrior, assassin, or magic archer. The warrior can be a fighter, a mage, a strider, a ranger, a sorcerer. Wow, I'm missing one. There is one more. What was it? Crap. So you got 3 fighter, mage, sorcerer, fighter, mage, strider, ranger, sorcerer. Shit, I'm missing one. God damn Oh gosh, it's been a while since I played it. This 9th job class must have been one I never used. I don't think it was important. I don't think it was important. You got your mage, your 2 mage classes, you got your fighter. Warrior! Warrior, there you go. You could be a warrior. Yeah, you could be a warrior. You could be a warrior. But you couldn't be the assassin, the magic archer, or the... shit, what was it? There's a hybrid class. There's a hybrid class. He uses a giant sword, a giant shield, and he was completely useless. This class was completely useless, and you never used the Magic Knight! That's the 9th class. The Magic Knight, completely useless. I never used it even once. It's a hybrid of a mage and a fighter, and you can equip giant shields to do stuff with. You'd rather just be one of the other 2 things, to be honest with you. I guess he has some buffs that you can perform, I guess, but it's useless. That's why I forgot about it. There's 9 job classes, and I only remember 8 of them. So that your pawn cannot be a magic knight, a magic archer, or an assassin. You could be any of the other 6. Your main player character could be those 3, plus the other 6. Outside of that, the reason why you have a pawn is for, like, the multiplayer. Is it multiplayer? Is it really multiplayer? No, it's not multiplayer. But it does use the internet. It does use the network. Basically, you go into a place called the Rift to recruit 2 extra party members. And these party members are pawns that were created by 2 other real people, real players. They had a pawn, they leveled the pawn. Your pawn can level up with you. So your pawn can level up, you can equip them with all sorts of crap. And other players, upon your last saved game slot, other players can take your pawn and take them out to do whatever with. And your pawn can obtain rift crystals. They don't gain physical experience to level up further, they just gain rift crystals. So that when you next turn your game on and you grab your pawn back, you will have a lot of rift crystals to use to buy higher level pawns to join your party. You could hire them to join your party for a lot of crystals if their level is higher than your main party, if your main character's level. Or you can use it in the Rift shop to buy special items of varying levels of importance. Primarily, you use them to hire higher level pawns to join your party. Primarily, that's what I did. So I thought that was probably one of the most innovative things, but with the advent of the loss of a lot of the servers on these games, I don't know how much longer the Rift will be open to recruit fighters to your cause. I don't know how long that's going to stay up. I think it's going to go down fast. I do think it's going to go down. It's going to die. So, if you plan to play this game, play it now. Preferably on PC if it's on PC. If it's not, then play it on your PS4, because I think it's also on that. It's also on your Xbox One, I think. Or, if you're playing it on the PS3 or the Xbox 360, play it now. You play it now. Get those 2 extra pawns that you want for your end game. And never get rid of them. Never get rid of them. Because when the server finally goes down, if it hasn't gone down yet already, when it goes down, you won't be able to get your 3rd and 4th party member. And this game is challenging. You need a full team sometimes. At least I did. A game can be challenging in certain places if you want to go somewhere before you're the proper level to get there. So, yeah. The plot is very weak, but it has the illusion of depth. What I mean by illusion of depth is that during some quests, you have characters who talk about the mainland, since Grancis is an island. The mainland is vast. There's other kingdoms and countries there. There's other people with different accents from these other different countries who might have beef and going to war with other main kingdoms and countries and empires of the mainland and other continents besides. But everything else that happens away from you. You're just stuck on Gransis. You can't go anywhere except Bitter Black Isle if you have the Dark Arisen DLC. Content is what this game is starved of, but it has one of the best combat systems that I've ever played in an RPG, and I find that if you took the combat of this game, or actually just keep the game world here, if you took the combat and the game world, and you added the content of Skyrim, like the hundreds of side quests, faction quest lines, and repeatable quests that you could infinitely do, dozens upon dozens upon dozens of dungeons that you could explore and do crap in, and the DLC areas like Bitter Black that you go in and do stuff in, and it has a long quest chain in each new area and lots of stuff to do. If they included that in this, I think this might be the best game on this console generation. If they did that, if they put all of the content and things to do that existed in here, if they took all of that and they put that in here, this would have been the greatest game I would have ever played. But as it is, it's one of the greatest combat engines I've ever used on one of the emptiest game maps I've ever explored. Meanwhile, this has one of the most lackluster combat engines I've ever played. I just played a sniper archer, since, everything dies to that. I played a sniper archer, just killed everything, and just... But what kept me playing was the map, the variety of the biomes, and the sheer amount of content. Tons of factions, tons of side quests, stage quests, all these things that you could do made this a very lengthy playthrough. I probably spent at least 400 hours on a single file, a single playthrough, at least 400 hours trying to do everything that I could. I did all the factions, all the Daedric, all the side quests, all of it. Did as much as I could do before the save file got so high that the game became unplayable. And this is why I absolutely loathe Bethesda games on the console. They're garbage. On PC, you can praise it all you like, because you get unofficial patches and mods and mods and mods and mods and mods and mods and mods! But the base game is just... It's just there. You can make the argument that most of the side quests are just annoying fetch quests, but at least it offered you something to do. Unlike this. Once you completed all of the quests, all you had left to do was just... Want to go down the giant well in the middle of the main hub city? Or want to go to Bitter Black Isle? No. There's nothing else to do. I'm gonna start a new game. Do everything over again. No. Well, that's it. Did it. It's over. I like both of these games, but they both have faults. This didn't have a fun combat at all to me, and this didn't have a fun story at all to me. Well, not at all. It was interesting, mildly interesting. But if you merged the storytelling and lore ability that this game had and all of the content, and you just put it in here, it would have made one of the greatest games ever conceived. Heck, I could even reverse it If you took this game's combat engine, all the combat and gameplay styles, and all the fighty, swishy, slashy, washy, bashy, jump slashies, and the spos, and all that stuff, you took all of that, and you put that into here, you also would have made one of the greatest games ever made. Because both of them have that potential, but they're lacking what the other does good at. What this does good at is story, but the combat is not as good. This is not as good as story, but is very good at combat. I find two games that tend to be very similar, but one tends to do something a lot better than the other, and the other tends to do something a lot better than this. And I like making these little comparison videos. I might have a few of these audiocasts in the future. What do you think? Have you played both of these games? Have you only played one of them? What are your thoughts below? And remember, if I shit on something that you like, it does not mean what you like is shit. It just means I think it's shit. If you think it's amazing, then it actually is amazing. To you. Doesn't mean it's amazing to me. You see, doesn't mean it's amazing to me. It's amazing to you if you think it's amazing. And that's all that matters. If it's amazing to you, then it's amazing. I just think it's shit to me. It doesn't mean it's shit to you, even though you think it's amazing, right? I feel like I have to make that disclaimer every single time in the event that somebody might get upset at that, because that's not my intention to piss you off. Unless you're one of those get good crowds, in which case, beep, 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 you know, censorship and all that stuff. Anyways, I kid the get good crowd. Enjoy your hard games. It's great. Be imaginative.